Hello, Piers. Welcome. You're back on Pitchside Talk. We're talking about something that's close to your heart. I think we could say Chelsea Football Club. Been a busy week for
Yeah,
them.
it takes over your life at this club. It's sort of like a disease, I guess.
Yeah, well, after 18 months in charge of Chelsea, Lampard and Chelsea have parted companies on Monday morning after 58 games in charge, leading to 28 victories, 11 draws, and 18 losses. A top four finish last season, an FA Cup runners medal for Frank Lampard's time, but the 5 defeats in the last 8 games, or as many defeats in the last 23, has seen Chelsea slip down the table from ninth to third in 1 month, and that's the lowest points per game as well under the Bramvich era, which was enough for Roman Bramvich to call time on Frank Lampard's managerial time at Chelsea. Kind of a shock, really. I think we saw reports were coming through about this happening. It wasn't, and then it's all put on the back burner. But I think when on Friday Lampard was asked about it, he didn't know about the pressure. But Piers, was the right decision made here? Because Frank Lampard, this is the first bit of bit of form, really. And I think we're quite surprised that the club haven't sort of supported him. There is talks about some players went to the hierarchy. This is all rumours about, Frank Lampard and, all this, that. But the one big sticking point is here, he spent £220 million in the summer window. And by Bramvich standards, that is a lot.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, obviously, I think I understand why Chelsea done what they done. I think the way that they were slipping down the table and that key players like Werner and Havertz weren't performing. Chelsea have those huge standards for their players. So I understand it. Myself personally, I don't think it's the right decision. I think people will disagree with this, but I think we've just because of how much of a club legend Frank Lampard is, and to take the responsibility to take that job in the first place when Sarri had left and we had nobody, I think it was a big call from him, and I think he should at least be given till the end of the season, just for what a legend he was. I understand we were in bad form, and I understand we were slipping down the table, but you've got to look at what he has actually done at this club. I know we didn't win the Super Cup final, and I know we didn't win the FA Cup final, but first of all, to get the FA Cup final with that team was an achievement. A team that was on a transfer ban, a team that everybody was joking saying we're going to get relegated, ninth, 10th, most pundits said seventh. To come fourth, basically third, joint with Manchester United, a team that spent a ridiculous amount of money themselves, and then to bring in 4 or 5 brilliant young English players. I mean, you had Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Tomori, Reece James, and obviously the Scottish Billy Gilmore. He came in himself. To have these key players come in, I think Frank Lampard done a lot for the club, and it's not like we weren't even terrible in that first season. So I think for what he'd done in that first season, I think he needed a chance now. And with players like Kai Havertz, I think it's time that you need. I mean, it's taken Pogba four seasons to finally start get going. And I think with Havertz, he suffered from COVID. He suffered from the long effects of COVID. So I think it takes time for him to get into his own. So I think with time they would have got better, but I obviously understand why Chelsea have done it for the club that they are and for the expectations they have.
Yeah, unfortunately, he is now gone, and it looks like Thomas Tuchel is set to be the new head coach of Chelsea, replacing Frank Lampard. But at this time of recording this, he hasn't been confirmed yet, which is slightly concerning because all the little things saying that, little minor details on that, and apparently it's supposed to be confirmed on the Monday evening, but it hasn't been confirmed. But the former PSG and Borussia Dortmund manager has had success. He has won trophies. He won the German Cup. He's won 2 French championships with PSG. He also took PSG to the Champions League final last season, the first time in their history. And he's got a very good points per game with Borussia Dortmund and PSG, averaging over 2 points per game with both sides. But Piers, I remember you told me a few weeks ago that you didn't want Tuchel when the Lampard rumour started to build a little bit of momentum. You didn't want him if Frank Lampard left. Have you changed your mind a little bit on him? Because it looks like he's going to be a very popular member in that Chelsea group. He's worked with Thiago Silva, he's worked with Christian Pulisic, he's got Kai Havertz, and he's got Timo Werner, 2 German players. We know that Rudiger and Jorginho were rumoured to go into PSG at some point. And he's got experience. He's worked in different environments. He's worked with Mainz. He's worked with Borussia Dortmund, a very good side, strapped for money. PSG, a very big side with money, and he's got success out of Mbappe and Neymar. Can he do the same at Chelsea? This is the big call here. Chelsea. He hasn't got on well with the hierarchy at Borussia Dortmund and PSG, which did lead to him being sacked or leaving the club, working with Roman, and he's going to be like that. It's not going to end well for him, is it?
Yeah, no. Yeah, Tuchel wasn't my first choice. He definitely wasn't my first choice, just for the way things ended at PSG and the way things fell off for him. I think it shows that is what will happen at Chelsea towards the end, especially with transfers. You look at Antonio Conte, won Chelsea the league after they'd finished 10th, and they wouldn't let him buy the players he wanted. You know, he wanted Romelu Lukaku, and they wouldn't let him get him. So. And also recently with Frank Lampard, apparently it came out that he wanted Declan Rice badly, but if the club don't want him, the club don't want him. So that could be how it ends. But now that he's here, or he's almost here at the time of this recording, I will obviously back him. I know he's done great work in Germany and obviously in France with PSG. So I know he's a good manager. What I heard from him is that he doesn't tell players what to do themselves. So he tells them what to do on the pitch, but when they've got the ball themselves in their position, they're the masters of their own realm in that way. So I think that will really help young players like Mason Mount and Hudson-Odoi really, you know, get their creative play flowing. And like you said, with players that he's worked with before, like Thiago Silva, I think it will be brilliant. I think he's got a big task ahead of him. You know, Chelsea, they've got high expectations, but he's got the players. He's obviously German, so it worked in Germany as well. So it will help with players like Havertz and Werner. But I don't know what the board's expectations are for the rest of the season. Surely it can't be that they want him to win the title. I'm sure if he could get Europe, I would say that's a success. If he could just fight for top four, I would be happy with that after how it's gone. And obviously next season, I'm sure they'll expect him to win the league.
Well, some interesting opinions there from Piers. Thank you very much, Piers, for joining us here for this little Chelsea interview.
No problem.
And let's hope that Thomas Tuchel does well at Chelsea this time.
Hope so.